What's going on, guys? Joshua at Trax RC, and in today's video I'm going to be doing some scale modifications to our Redcat Gen 8. So before we start installing the parts on the Gen 8, I just want to discuss with you guys why you guys are seeing more of RCs that haven't really been on the channel lately. So I'm sure that a lot of you guys realize, whether you're an old subscriber or a brand new subscriber to the channel, that you've seen some sort of video where I talk about how my cousins Colin and Sean run the channel also, but lately they haven't been able to do much with the channel because they don't have a dedicated RC space and they don't have a lot of time to film RC videos, which they did have those things in the past. And the RCs that they had is obviously the Redcat Gen 8, which I'm working on today in this video. And then Colin also has the VSCX10 II Build. Of course, Sean had the Axial Capra. And then they also own the 1/16 E-Revo VXL and our Beater Slash that has actually turned into quite of a parts car. So that's all the RCs that they own. But since they don't have a studio anymore, they decided to give me their working RCs so then I could use them for the channel. So they gave me the Redcat Gen 8, the VSCX10 II, the Axial Capra, and then yesterday Colin also gave me his 1/16 E-Revo VXL so I could fix it up and compare it to the WL Toys 144001 that we just unboxed on the channel. So I'm definitely going to fix that thing up and get it running again because it's a really fun RC, but it's just been broken for almost over a year, I think. And we just haven't fixed it because it usually ends up breaking pretty quick because it is brushless. But I'll go into that more in a later video. But like I said, in this video we are going to be focusing on the Gen 8. And when Colin gave me his RCs to feature on the channel, he told me two things. If I break a part, I have to buy it and replace it, and I could pretty much do whatever mods I wanted to them. Obviously I'm going to check with him first though. And today we are going to be modding the Gen 8. Now with the Gen 8, it's not a bad crawler per se. It just kind of looks kind of funky in my opinion. I always had this thought about the Gen 8. I never really talked to Colin about it. It just looks kind of weird in my opinion. Nothing against the Proline body, it's been great. I just think it's got like weird characteristics to it. Like the back end just looks kind of puny and the front doesn't look as bad. It just kind of has a weird form factor to it in my opinion. So to fix that a little bit, today we are going to be installing some scale parts on the back of the body just to fill in this space right here a little bit. And then I'm also going to be adding a rear bumper because this one does not have one, and that's another complaint that I have about the Gen 8. It just looks kind of out of place in my opinion. So the first thing that we're going to do in this video is install my old TRX4 Sport takeoff bumper. Now this is going to be really easy because it fits pretty well into the stock bumper mount for the Gen 8. It is a pretty tight fit, but once it's in there, I don't even think I'm going to have to use any hardware to get it to stay. So yeah, I really don't think that's going to come out, but I do have to trim the body a little bit because it will not sit all the way down on the body post. So let's go ahead and trim that up really quick to get the body to sit flush.
Aside from my soul, there goes a sight, there goes a sight. Now there goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight from my soul.
Alright, so I got the bumper installed and the body cut to fit around it. Now I did go a little bit further down with the body than I wanted to, but it had to be done to get the body all the way down to touch the body post. So it's not exactly what I wanted it to turn out like, but I do think that it's going to look good in the end. So now let's talk about the rest of the accessories that I'm going to be mounting on the back of the Gen 8. So of course I'm going to be installing a spare tire. This is the stock Gen 8 tire. It's the Super Swamper from Redcat. And then I have it mounted on one of our Capra takeoff beadlock rims. Now it is a little bit of a different setup than the wheels and tires that we have on the Gen 8. Of course it's the same tire, but we are running axial beadlocks on the Gen 8 right now, so it's a little bit different, but it's not going to be noticeable, and I'll get to that here in a second as to why you won't notice that the rims are different. And then I'm also going to be mounting one of the Scale Factor RC sand ramps right here behind the spare tire, mounted horizontally like this, so it's kind of going to look like that on the back of the body. I have one of these installed installed on my TRX4 Sport body on the Proline back half cage. So I think it's going to look just as good, if not better, on the Gen 8. And then to top it all off, I kind of have this custom third brake light and Proline scale modular fuel pack right here. And how this is going to work is once I get the sand ramp mounted on the body and then the tire on right in front of it, this fuel pack is going to mount right in the center of the spare tire. And then I'm going to feed the wires through the rim, and this is a functional third brake light. So to make this whole setup work, I broke this knob off. No, it does not pull off. You actually have to break it off. And then I ended up gluing it back on with shoe glue. So I broke that knob off, used an X-Acto knife, got in between this slice right here, separated the two pieces. There's 4 little posts on each corner right here, so you just got to go all the way around with the X-Acto knife, kind of separating them. And then once you get the 2 pieces apart, what I did is I drilled a hole at the top right here for a screw to go in from the inside and then into this light bucket. This is an axial light bucket. I believe it came off of a parts tree from an axial Wraith. I just had it laying around. I don't actually know where it came from, but that's where I believe it came from. And then it had a clear lens, so I used a red Sharpie on the outside, colored it red, and it looks really good. And then the LED that I use is actually out of this axial light kit. The part number is right there if you're interested, and there'll also be a link to it down below in the description. But with this axial light kit, it comes with 2 red LEDs and then 4 white and a light controller right here. So the 4 white LEDs is on one harness, and then it plugs into this control module, and then the 2 red LEDs are wired into a separate wiring harness and plug into the other side of this module. So I disregarded the white LEDs for now. I may install some of these as headlights in the Gen 8 in a later video, but to get these apart so then I only have 1 red LED is I cut this one right out of the harness. I cut the red and the brown wire right there, and then I had to solder the red to the brown right here, so then there's only 1 LED for the third brake light. And to get the actual light in the bucket, I had to drill out the center a little bit, but that was no big deal, and it fits really well in there, and it looks really good. So that's the rest of the things that we're going to be installing on the Gen 8. I'm going to go ahead and start installing the sand ramp. This is just going to be held on with double-sided tape. Well, that couldn't have worked out any better. I have a straight shot right through the handle of the sand ramp to mount the spare tire through the center of the hole in the rim. So I just got to drill a hole right in the middle between that handle. Alright, so I got the spare tire on with the third brake light, the fuel can, and the sand ramp right there, and it looks really good. I'm not too happy about how I mounted the fuel pack though. It's just a zip tie really. As you guys saw in the video, I cut up one of those Trax antenna wrenches because I had an extra one, and I used that as a spacer to space this away from the rim a little bit because it was bending this light and I didn't want it to break off the fuel can. So I'm sure you guys were curious why I did that, and I didn't use double-sided tape on both sides and why I just sticked it to that one side. That was just to help me line everything up, and then I wrapped the zip tie around it. It's pretty secure. I really don't see it going anywhere. It does wiggle around a little bit, but that's really my only option that I have, that I thought of at least. Doesn't look the best, but I think it's gonna work pretty well. And again, as you guys saw, I used an actual screw and a nut to mount the actual tire to the body, and then of course the double-sided tape to mount the sand ramp. Doesn't look the best from the inside, but it looks really good from the outside. It's gonna add a lot of good characteristics to this Jeep body. So now let's work on wiring up the third brake light and plug this thing into the receiver.
again.
Alright, so all that is wired in. I ended up putting some dielectric grease on this module right here just to protect it from the elements a little bit. I know it's probably not going to do much, but I figured it would help with some water protection because I don't know if it is waterproof, and we do like to drive this RC in the water a lot, as you guys know. So if this ends up failing, I'll just solder a female receiver plug to that and then a male to this one just so we could plug it directly in. That just saved me a little bit of time today, so then I wouldn't have to do that step. But like I said, if it fails, no big deal. I'll just solder a receiver plug on. So now off camera, I am going to route these wires nicely in the body so they're not flopping around everywhere. Alright, so I just finished wiring it up in the body with black duct tape. Now let's plug it in and see how it looks. So yeah, I think it looks pretty good on here. It definitely adds some character to the Gen 8. It kind of looks a lot beefier, and I like it. Maybe in the future we'll need to get a light bar for it, and I'm probably going to install some of these headlights up front here. That might be a little bit of a challenge though, because I'm going to have to scrape back the paint on the inside of the body and leave these stickers on so then it's actually clear. But I think that could be a cool little project that we can do for a video. And I think this thing is going to need some taillights at some point too. But as for right now, this was a huge upgrade for the Gen 8. For the appearance of it, it definitely looks a lot better in my opinion. Definitely drop a comment down below. What do you guys think of this modification that I did to the Redcat Gen 8? Because I think it looks really good with all these accessories on the body now. Up front right here, we have the stock Gen 8 tow mirrors. They fold in and turn around and all that so then they won't break off. We are also running these on my Trax TRX4 Sport and they look really good. Definitely my favorite set of mirrors. And then up top we have the axial JCR roof rack. This is the same roof rack that comes on like the SCX10 II Cherokee. I don't know if it's worth having it on because the back body posts are really hard to put the clips on because we have to go under and through the rails of the roof rack. But there's no taking it off now because we drilled 6 holes to mount it. And of course up front we are running the axial SCX10 II CRC front bumper. This is off the deadbolt. When we had it as a deadbolt, it's now the VSCX10 II, but it really fits this Jeep body well. And what do you guys think? Should we add some accessories right here? We used to have a light bar. What if we added a winch right here? Probably a fake one though. I think it would definitely look really good atop that bumper. So yeah guys, that's pretty much it for this video. Definitely let me know what else you guys want to see with the Gen 8 and all the other RCs Colin gave me to feature on the channel again. So with that, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave it a like, share it with others so I can grow my channel. And with that, I will see you guys in the next video.